Yeah, hit it. Hit it, work, go, do the thing. The health is good. I like that it says that.
The health is never good.
It's almost never good. Amazing.
How's your feedback, Nick? Can you hear yourself well? Louder, less loud?
How many sound engineers does it take to change a light bulb? Two. No, good.
I think I'm pretty good.
Pretty good.
A little bit.
Good?
A little bit louder, a little bit good.
Nice of you guys
A little
to
bit
come in.
louder.
The mood is all right in here
A
with the
little bit
dim
something,
lights.
It's good.
It is.
Yeah.
It actually is mellow.
It's quevo.
It's nice. It's nice. Hello, live people.
nice.
If you're there, how's our stream look, Zach? Quality?
Good.
Okay. Hang on. Well, I just want to I like to look and make sure that like somebody's there watching it, and I know Zach is.
I don't count.
You don't. Zach doesn't count because he's in the room. Commenters. Oh, there they are. Hi guys. Hey everybody. Okay, that works. This is actually for some reason every time it gets better.
It does.
All right. Live
now
people.
we're down to okay. Just like that.
All right. Todd and Nick, welcome. This is Todd, and that is Nick, for those of you on video. And I'm going to do a show intro. In 3, 2, 1. Dun, 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 dun. Hello, kids. Smoking Tire Podcast. Daytime show, but that no longer matters because it's dark as fuck in here. How y'all doing? This is going to be a fun one. We got Todd Wortman and we got Nick Smith from the new Discovery Series show Sticker Shock. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks.
We've got an Englishman and a gentleman with glasses. It's the perfect odd pairing for a car show.
Perfectly odd. We promise to be odd.
I'll tell you what, you take the accent now. I'll do the
Oh, there we go. Switch it up. It'll be like the Prestige. You guys change, and you're the guy who comes
So
out of the box
confused.
now.
Now I don't know who to believe more, though. Glasses or English accent.
You have to trust the English accent at all times. Hello.
You
Told
must
you.
remember, though,
I'm
we
telling-
are both car dealers, so
Oh
trust,
shit! So I
trust is an issue.
can't trust either of you. Damn it! Where do you sell cars, Todd?
European Collectibles,
Where's that?
Costa Mesa, California.
Oh yeah, the land of vintage cars.
The land of vintage Porsches and cars in general.
There's a lot of cool vintage cars down there, restoration shops and classic car showrooms. Our friend John Bothwell down there.
Oh,
Do you know-
yeah.
you know John?
Of course.
He's a riot. That guy.
He is.
He's like
definitely.
out of the 30s.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you sell cars, Nick?
I work for Worldwide Auctioneers.
Oh.
So all over.
It goes with the accent.
It does.
Is Worldwide Auctioneers a contracting company that works with the big auction houses? Is that how that works?
No, they've been in business for 18 plus years. They've just taken on Pebble Beach and Scottsdale.
Oh.
Inaugural shows this year and last August.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Just getting their feet wet in that market and stepping it up a notch.
Wow.
And then lost the plot and employed me. I have no idea.
It happens.
The accent, I guess.
Yeah, no, it goes a long way, trust me, especially in television. All right, 2 car dealers in the house, huh? What do you got? What do you guys? And is there a specialty for the auction house, or is it anything vintage and valuable?
Anything collectible and valuable.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't
And-
need to be old.
In your Porsche, then, Todd?
European Collectibles, yeah, we specialize in Porsche. We're most known for that. That's what we restore in-house. But when it comes to buying and selling, European sports cars in general are our passion.
Has it been like a lifelong kind of thing for you guys?
Yeah. I've always really liked cars and tried to have a different career for about a decade and ended up exactly where everybody knew where I would, which was cars.
What did you try?
I was in the movie business for
Oh, really?
9 years.
Doing
yeah.
what?
I started out at the bottom like anybody else, getting coffee and supporting the production staff. And by the time I decided it was no longer for me, I was a production manager.
Oh, okay. So like nuts and bolts type of
Yeah.
of stuff.
Logistics.
Yeah. That's our man Zach here is
How I pay the rent.
totally
Good.
Same thing.
television show logistics. How many filming permits have you secured in the last month?
Oh my God. It's like eight per city in 3 cities. That was a busy month.
That's a lot.
I
and
love paperwork so much.
Apparently.
And this for shooting cars, it's a real pain in the ass to
Yeah.
do that kind of stuff. You got to hire the police, and then, but that's how you become friends with.
Well,
the
you can
cops.
just hear the tone of the person looking at the permit. They're like, "So what are you doing?" you try to downplay it a lot because, like, with our budget, you try to downplay it. Like, it's just these small cameras we're going to put on. And then I show up and they had like a red mounted on the roof. It's like, this is not a small camera.
Oh man! And then, did you guys just sort of fall into TV, or did it happen intentionally?
Kind of found us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
it wasn't intentional at all from my perspective. I've been happily a successful car dealer for quite a long time now, and I know the director of the show. I've known him for quite a long time, and we've always kind of kept in touch, and he's told me what he was doing, and none of it ever really interested me. And then all of a sudden he had something that was really up my alley, which was a short shooting schedule, and we're really just talking about the values of cars and talking to the owners.
How appropriate.
Yes.
That's very cool. I saw how many. It's all right. So give us the rundown on the show, and we do have the trailer and can play that. But
Do
tell
you
us.
play that now?
We can, yeah, we can play it right now.
Go on, then, go.
Do you want to play the trailer first?
I can talk over it. I can
Yeah,
leave the room. We go to a
narrate-
bar.
no.
What would you like?
We'll play the trailer. Narrate the trailer because it's a video and an
Oh,
audio
God, we're
show.
going to look at it. Oh, no,
right
let's
here,
go.
right here. Go ahead, Timmy. Play it up. Sticker shock.
Opening credits.
What'd you bring me today? A 1916 Model T.
He's dressed in
I'll take a
period.
high five. What do you think it's worth?
A furry interior.
I
A
would love to
Scooby
hit
van,
15.
a Ford Galaxy.
She's not getting you to the grocery store very
trucks.
quickly, is she?
Top goes down, price goes up. Todd, what's the most interesting thing you
Lowriders.
have found underneath the rear seat?
You know,
I'll leave that one alone.
What is the
all
most
in all,
interesting thing you found in the rear seat?
today,
I'm gonna
underwear.
praise this truck. Oh wow! Wow! Well, that's wonderful.
In the trailer, they're all wow, wow, wow. Is everyone's car worth more than they think?
Of course, absolutely.
No, it's not. It's definitely not that kind of a show. I think that they like to cut these together
Yeah.
with a bunch of wows, but not all the values work out for the owners.
Did you have to? Have you had to? So basically, it's sort of people bring you their cars and you discuss them, their history, their condition, and then give them a rough price, right?
Yes,
Basically,
exactly.
yeah.
Is there ever a transaction?
No,
There's no
Not yet.
transactions.
I put a couple of bids in.
The casting for the show was really they vetted the people pretty well. They wanted people extremely passionate about their cars, and they found kind of the "we'll never sell it" type.
Yeah.
And they brought them in to explain it. So the values really have very little influence on the people since they've already
Yeah,
explained
yeah.
why they would never sell it. It's their third child.
It is interesting, I guess, to remove the transactional element from the show. I guess most people that plan on keeping something forever don't typically get it appraised very often, do they?
No,
I mean,
not at
unless
all.
it's like a gull wing or something, and you're trying to insure it, and you
Right.
bought it in the '60s for $6,000, and now it's $1 million or something.
And when you do what we do, and you're talking to somebody about their car, and they're saying they'll never sell it, you pretty much just find yourself making recommendations on how they can take better care of it.
Yeah. I saw,
that's pretty much
I saw the episode that I guess premieres or shows tomorrow, in which a guy has a really interesting cab over pickup truck, which I
Okay.
want to say it was in the trailer. What was it? A Corvair?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the front. It's like
That was
a,
Randy's deal.
Yeah. furry
Yeah.
it's a
interior.
I
cab
know
with
the
the
one you're
fur,
talking about. Yeah.
the furry interior, and man. He was surprised he had a furry pickup truck bed. He actually had a bed full of fur. It was.
What are you going to do with that?
I could think of what he probably does with that.
Yeah, just stop it.
But it was it seemed, at least in the one episode I watched, that it was a pretty heavy American car focus. Is
Yeah.
that it is?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's throughout the whole show, not just a.
Not exclusively,
No.
by any
No?
stretch of the imagination, but definitely. We've had a Bentley, we've had an Austin Healey.
Has anyone brought anything like crazy valuable?
No.
Not,
No.
Well, not by our standards.
No. Okay. So no GTOs.
No.
I got a Ferrari Daytona something.
Yeah, that's
I
the
don't
one.
know.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Actually, there is a guy right up the street building what you could call a Ferrari Daytona.
Yeah.
There's
The
a guy
yellow.
being building a Fiero
Oh,
Ari.
no.
308 up the
Oh,
street.
dear.
Nice.
It's not good.
Did you
We
ever-
can appraise
yeah.
that. We haven't seen it. It's not worth anywhere near what he thinks it's worth. We can say.
I mean, but in the end, when people finish those, after all their time and all their effort into them, they could have just bought a 348 or something.
Totally.
I mean,
Totally.
You could almost get there by
Yeah.
the time you're done with that thing.
And a 348, not as bad as people say.
No,
I mean,
no,
kind
I
of bad
agree.
by Ferrari standards, but,
But
like not
definitely
terrible.
better than that thing.
Better than better than
Yeah.
the Dayona, which I think
Yeah.
will be the new nickname. for that.
Dayona.
So outside, if the show, have you guys in your professional lives and other outside of this television show ever really had to disappoint somebody with a valuation? Like, have you ever had to break the news that like someone's shit is not numbers matching, or there's been a big crash?
More often than not.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How does that
Very much more
usually
often than
go?
not. Everyone has the moon and the stars and the crown jewels and everything else, and we have to very gently break it to them exactly how they got to that conclusion and how completely out of their mind they are, and we have to point them in the right direction.
Is it a what's the market like right now? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Is it?
The market is very good for things that have no issues in their history file. I mean, a car that's really good, original colors, original engine, documented history, all that, very fine. Trying to sell anything right now that has some issues or isn't very correct, that's a problem.
Really?
Yep.
So if I wanted a driver quality something, is now a good time to be aggressive and go find it and beat someone up on the price?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If matching numbers aren't an important thing because you're going to drive it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great time.
Does it depend on which brand? Because it seems like the Porsche community is much more open to modified things than like a Ferrari community was. But has that
I
changed?
just think there might just be a lot
bit?
more modifying options available to Porsche owners.
Well, people are modifying Porsches left and right, and people are appreciating other people's modified cars, but they're not being sold.
Oh, okay.
They're not, they don't go on the market. So a guy builds some wild thing, and he's sort of stuck with it. For lack
That could be a good way in, too.
of a better term. Yeah.
Buy someone's like hot rod Porsche, you probably get a good deal on something that's fun to drive.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. What's like tanking right now? Is anything just like forget it?
I think the market's really quite unpredictable. We just had a sale in Texas. I would have thought American Iron would have done well there. We had modern European stuff do fantastically well.
I'm not surprised by that
Rolls
at all.
And Ferrari did great.
The modern ones.
Yeah.
Huh.
But 60s American Iron didn't do well. Yet in Scottsdale, 60s American Iron was doing so much better. So
That doesn't surprise me.
Scottsdale
Isn't Scottsdale a much? Where in Texas were you?
Arlington.
Where the hell's Arlington?
That's like Dallas adjacent.
Oh, okay. I think Scottsdale's probably a much older town than.
But it's an international town at that point. Everyone flies in for those auctions.
Maybe. Yeah, you probably know better than.
It's a bit odd. As Todd said, the cream of the crop, matching numbers, pure as a driven snow stuff, one owner from new, original paint, etc. That were beautifully restored by the right people.
Yeah.
There's lots of money around for that kind of stuff. The market's really strong, but that second tier stuff.
That it seems like is that the stable blue chip kind of thing is numbers matching, regardless of marquee or generation, is always a safer bet than this was modified, but it was modified by like a really smart person or someone with a lot of accolades or whatever.
Anything that you have to explain, you're going to have a problem with at the moment.
That's a good bet. If it's modified, but you could be like, it's an Emery 356. It's the end of it there. There's no explanation required, but it's like, well, it was an E, but it runs a twin plug, and it's got an RS this, and it's got an S that, and a T that, and it's like, oh boy, here you go.
Right.
Here you go.
Have you seen the American Iron? Like that was huge in the 05, 06, the early aughts. The market was just going crazy for that. Has that shifted because of the generations have shifted their financial freedom, or is it just interest change, do you think?
I think those markets are doing really well presently.
Okay.
They took a dive when everything did, but since then we've shifted from borrowed money to a lot more actual people buying with cash, and then that changes their that generally changes their need to sell. So you just hold on to it if you don't like the market price that you're being offered.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I didn't go to your house in Scottsdale. I'm sorry I missed it. I was there this year, but I did go to Gooding, and I went to Barrett and to, I guess it's Russo and Steele. Russo and Steele's hilarious.
Yeah.
That place is fun. But I was actually shocked at some of the prices. They were high. Some of the cars that I was like, oh, there's no, but they'd fit basic bolt-on modification late 60s Mustangs are $50,000-$60,000. It's like, whoa, where do these things come from? I expected pro touring cars to be like, but no, they were selling for real money. It was interesting.
Yeah, the resto mod thing did really well, and I think that's testament to people wanting to drive today. They don't want something to stick in the garage and just stare at. They want something to drive.
Where do you guys stand on? All right, here's a question for you. Yesterday we had the actor Scott Eastwood in here, Clint's son, nice guy, got a Ford GT, the new one. We're having this debate because he's well off. He's not hurting for cash, but potentially, you vacuum pack this Ford GT, and in 2 years there could be quite a lot of money in it for you. It could be like a 300% investment or something like that. $1 million, $2 million, who knows? Do you drive your new Ford GT or do you vacuum pack it?
You drive it.
I think you drive it too.
You drive it.
That's actually a loaded one. The contract for the Ford GT says that you can't sell it for 2 years.
Well, that's what I said.
Right.
If
So you can't legally sell it. There were two
No,
people that sold them for $2 million recently, and one just sold for $2.5 million at Barrett. But it was a backdoor deal because the guy actually gave it away. He donated it and it went to charity. Did $2.5 million. In 2 years' time, the market will be flooded with people who haven't driven their Ford GT. So, yeah, I agree. Drive it.
You think that there will be enough museum pieces in 2 years to satisfy that market that you might as well drive and enjoy and hit that next tier price point? Or
Might as
whatever,
well.
or just fuck it, you're rich, just drive the thing.
Yeah.
That's more the thing with especially when you're buying a Ford GT and it's not your only car, like you need to mortgage your house.
Well,
or
it's more of a question of like, how low do the production numbers have to be for mileage to be irrelevant? You know what I mean? Or
it varies greatly from mark to mark as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
when do people stop asking about mileage?
Never.
No, never.
If you were selling a GTO, no one's asking about mileage, right?
That's true.
If you're selling a D-type, no one's asking about mileage, right? So $5 million, you stop asking about miles? Where do you stop asking?
Well, then if it's an old car, you're getting into the originality. Is it real mileage?
Or
has it been bubble wrapped and it's
restoration?
just been dragged out of a barn with 3,000 miles, etc.? Then it's going to factor into it. But at some point, with age, I think it drifts away.
Yeah. Like, once a car's like 50 years old, it's all condition and miles don't really seem to matter anymore, maybe.
Yeah, unless you can prove that it's low miles.
Yeah, I guess if you have if it's like, documented 5,000 miles from new or whatever, and then, how do you just document that?
Is there like a range of, under 100 miles is like a tier of pricing, and then 100 to 2,000, and then 2 to 10, is there like different... I don't know. Do you guys see that kind of thing? And then if it's 50 to 100, but under six figures, like
I think that those are good yardsticks. I think under 1,000, under 500, those are two different tiers, and then you're okay up to like 2,500 miles and so on. And then 10,000 is a big barrier, and then for most of the stuff after that, it's just go for it.
It's driver quality once it's beyond that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in like a 35,000 mile 05 Ford GT. For 200.
Yeah.
That's where I see a lot of value in something like that.
I've seen Ferrari 599s with 45,000 miles on them for 80 grand. And you're like,
that is awesome.
And you're like, wait a minute, how do I not do that?
Yeah, because that car probably would run great. I bet you that car had been served. Oh, the engines are tough. It's not about the engines.
No.
Here's what it's about with a 599, in my experience. Ceramic brake service, because it's 20 grand at least for a 599. Clutch, which is not as bad as other cars, but yeah. And then it's like the diff. I used to work for an exotic car rental company, and the cars would have the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah.
And we had to replace one diff, and it was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? It was like, don't even try it.
Right.
But that's a great car at a driver quality for 80 grand, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a lot of car.
What's the stick shift one? Like 700 or something like that?
Yeah.
Actually, could you convert? Is there a possibility for conversion there?
From F1 to stick?
Yeah, in a 599.
I know that they're converting other cars. I don't know about the 599.
A friend of mine did I don't want to call it homebrew, but had a local independent Ferrari shop convert a 360 to stick. The Delta was enough that it was worthwhile. If the Delta was 40 grand from an F1 to stick, and he converted it for 15, and he ended up with a car that was worth 20, dip more, whatever, worked out.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's gearboxes available for the 599. Like, what do you use?
Does that go back to the explanation thing where you have to say it was an automatic, but now it's a manual, but it was converted by, like, does that go back to that?
Well, the Delta, it could be 80 to 700,000 if you can convert it for 25 or 30 grand and it's worth 120 now. Yeah, you're ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
As long you're not representing it as original,
Oh,
but
right,
it's
right.
better than the alternative.
It just boils down to the math. I mean, Ferraris for a long time in the U.S., you could buy a converted Euro for less money than a U.S. model, and people would just be like, okay, I'm going to go save 20 grand, and so what? I've got a Euro that's been federalized, and that's fine, and it's cheaper when you buy it, and it's cheaper,
when
cheaper
that
when you
stop?
sell it.
How late could you do that? Like the 308 and the
when the-
F40 was like the end of that?
360s.
No, 360s.
Oh, you could buy.
Yeah, the Euro was such that the Euro and the demand was such in, I don't know, 2000 to 2003?
Yeah.
Around,
yeah,
Nick?
Absolutely.
That you could just buy a car in Europe, drive it on the Autostrada for a little bit, and ship it home, and that would be that.
There were companies that would just do it all for you.
Yeah.
They had the gauge cluster and whatever else they needed to do, headlights and something else. And
Wow.
At the rental company, we had a 360 that was in kilometers. We
Oh, I'm sure.
Our
Oh my God, yeah.
actually our theory to this day is that it was an express car because it was a 99, had a bunch of miles on it, and it was fast as fuck. Really, really, really fast. It would walk challenge cars. It was like this marvel of a car. And at the rental company, we got it up to like 150,000 miles. It eventually burned to the ground on the Palisades Parkway.
Wow.
Yeah, it toasted, but it was so fast. And our only theory about it, because of this kilometers thing, and it was an early 99, and there was some weird stuff on it. Our theory is that it was somehow a press car from the New Jersey press office that ended up being sold at an auction or something. And I don't know, but I didn't realize you could actually get Euro spec Ferraris until 2003. That's very funny.
Yeah. Well, the issue was the companies. Then they started to rack their prices up because you had to go to a certain place to have the quality of work that was acceptable in the marketplace, and so they started bumping their prices up, and they were just out there with a hammer.
That's very funny. I had a Vanquish that was converted at Works to stick.
Oh, cool.
Really?
So yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. Have you seen those change
Yeah,
hands at
yeah.
auction?
Yeah.
They bring good money.
There's one on the market right now.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Autosport Design.
Yeah,
Sal
yeah.
Papadopoulos.
So Autosport in Long Island, they do conversions
They do.
there.
Yeah.
I haven't. Have you seen one of their cars up close? Are
Oh,
they
yeah.
Are they nice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice.
Do they do it exactly how Works does
Exactly.
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're a fantastic shop.
That's where they get the parts.
I haven't heard anything bad about it, but I was sort of like, you know, if I'm going to go all in, like, let's get that Works paperwork. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Let's just keep that. Because like the people on your show, my car's like in the never sell department.
Okay.
So
blame you.
I wanted to make it drive better. And it drives way better.
They have a.
Drives
I sold mine last
beautifully.
year.
It drives. It's a
Killing
you know,
me.
it's a Tremec. It's a
Yeah.
Viper gearbox, same gearing as a Viper. The pedal box is small, so I have big feet. I got to drive it either barefoot or driving shoes. Now you got 3 pedals in there, but it is about as good as you think it would be. And I had them wire it's got the vacuum operated exhaust. I had them wire it open, so it's like just loud. It's fucking great. It's so nice, so nice. But
Tom, I need to make a phone call.
get one if you're in. I mean, honestly, if you can find a great, and if you can find an S, especially if you can find an S for a good price. Dude, it is great.
I sold one. I bought one for a present last year. It was the most amazing car to watch being built. We went. I worked for Aston Martin, Beverly Hills. And we went over to England. We went through Newport Pagnell, where they built the V8 and they built the DB9 by hand.
Yeah,
absolutely. But then we went to where the Vanquish was, and there was this old boy, and he's rubbing away with it. And they built the rolling car in one half of the factory, would roll it down the hill to the sidewalk, stop, wait for the light to change. Right, lads,
and
steam
push
it across the road,
street.
and then put the drivetrain in. It
Wow.
was like by hand.
It is the most. Everything about Aston Martin is so ridiculous. You can't believe things get done over there. And Morgan, same thing. Have you been to Malvern? To the
No.
Morgan factory?
We need to build another car. Pop out and cut a tree down.
I like Morgan's, but no,
You
I
know,
haven't been.
Oh my God, it's a must go. It's like you said, downhill. The Morgan factory is a ramp that zigzags down a hill, and they just push
The brake test. That's the brake test area.
funny.
Install that first.
And it's, it smells like wood. There's carpenters like in there, and it's so ridiculous. You cannot believe that this place is making cars like this. And then as soon as you walk out of there, you go, what can I give them money for? They must need some money. Whatever. What can I take home with me? That look at this. This is the fucking Morgan factory, dude. That shit is real. That's so crazy. And then dude, oh, what a great place. If you're in England, that's a terrible picture, but it's a must go. The smell, it smells like a high school wood shop. It's so fucking
Beautiful
great.
cars.
Yeah.
I find the cars really charming still. You know, they're so it's as if nobody told them that the modern world exists.
Totally.
Right?
That's great.
Yeah.
And they just they show up in their tweed and they're ready to rock. And
Dude,
it's
it is
just
Like you go there and take an iPhone photo and they're like, "What's that?"
There is some of the and then you see something like the Aero Super Sports, which
Right.
looks like, you know, steampunk and kind of crazy, and you're like, this factory built this fucking thing?
I love
Like,
that
what?
car.
I got to drive one. You ever driving Aero Super Sports?
No.
It is so awesome. It's like the Great Gatsby with the pontoon fenders, you know, and you've got a BMW V8 with an exhaust about 18 inches long that comes out the side. And you've got these 3 tiny little windshield wipers and it's like all this engine turn stuff. It's so cool.
What does it feel like to drive?
Like a hot rod.
Oh, really?
Like a long nose fucking sit at the back hot rod. Like a huge Caterham.
Like modern suspension though, or like old
Yeah,
hot
no,
rod
it drove
suspension?
nice. No,
Okay.
it drove really. I don't want to go do a track
You'd like
day, but
my
it drove good.
you'd like my Lotus. I've got a Westfield.
What's a Westfield?
It's a Caterham,
Oh yeah, Westfield 7,
but with
right?
a Rover V8.
Oh, cool.
Ooh, awesome.
Really?
Yeah. it's-
Well
That's
done.
probably awesome. Where is
Yeah.
it? Is it here?
Yeah, just up the road.
Great.
I nearly
way.
drove it in actually, but I had to move a couple
Does
of cars
it
to get
like? Does everything fit?
yeah, it's got the turning circle of the QE2 until you hit the right pedal, and then it just spin round on.
Does it
on
look
the
like
spot.
that? It's like one of those deals.
Good for you.
Is that that's yours?
No, that's not my old car. No.
Yeah, look at that. It's very nice.
Like that.
It actually looks a lot more. Is it more comfortable than a regular 7?
It is so unbelievably comfortable. It's sort of like a Rolls Phantom kind of approach to it. As long as your knees are backwards,
Yeah.
you have tiny feet and you're really close with your passenger.
And that's got a V8 in it.
It does. It has crumple zones that are your knees.
Right.
I've got some fabulous photos sitting on La Cienega Boulevard behind an SUV and next to another one.
Oh my
where I
God.
was just like manhole level, but it's good fun.
Do you build that or did you buy it?
Oh no, I bought it.
Are you guys wrenches as well? You are, Todd, right?
No,
No?
no, I'm not. I wish.
No?
No,
I fucking hate
I've got
wrenching.
hammers.
I just pay. I work hard at my job so
Yeah.
I can pay smart people to do those things. But so what else is in the personal fleet? So Todd rolls up in a G-Wagon. It's
Yep.
a 500
Yeah,
late model. Have you seen the new one?
I have. Yeah,
Kind of cool, actually.
I like it.
I just saw the interior today. It's really nice.
I
It's
know.
pretty neat. And then what else do you have at home, Todd?
Not much right now. I'm sort of in between. I just sold my 964 Porsche. I had a Carrera 2 in Tahoe blue.
What's Tahoe blue? Is it the
It's
light
just this
blue?
ultra bright metallic blue.
I think I know that blue.
It was
Oh, there it is. I see that. I see it right there. Yeah, it's like a really bright
Yeah.
sky
Ooh,
blue.
that's
very
really cool.
very bright color.
Great color. That's got a really nice shine to it.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
So I like that car, but I sold it, and
I bet you did good on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
anybody with a 964 is real happy right about now.
Don't. Oh my god.
That's a good choice. Okay, so what do you think is going to replace that?
I don't know. Right now, I'm just kind of holding off, waiting for the next opportunity. I've had a lot of fun with my personal fleet over the years.
What are some of the highlights? The back catalog.
I bought a Boxer, a 512 BB from
Oh.
the original owner in Mexico City. And it had this just crazy history to it and all the documentation. And it hadn't run in a long time. And I'm very good friends with a great Ferrari mechanic named Chris Dugan. And I really transformed this car mechanically, but kept it all original. And owned it for, 3 or 4 years, and took it to an auction and did absolutely fantastic.
Those things had a huge spike a
They had
couple
a
of years
huge,
ago.
huge
They sat
spike.
at $100,000 for about 2 decades, and then
Yeah.
had a huge spike.
Yes.
Why did they have such a huge spike?
I don't know. I other than the fact that they are very good cars and very, very fun to drive.
Did you enjoy driving it?
I did. I loved it.
I only drove one once back in the day for like 10 minutes, and I remember it feeling like a tractor. Honestly.
The problem is that when they were $100,000, people weren't taking care of them properly. So you go on a test drive and you're like, oh great, you know, this isn't doing all that well. I can see why they're not selling. I can see why they're in the doldrums. But I actually totally sorted one out, and it was great to drive, and I let a couple different people drive it, and then I put it in an auction and it did fantastic.
What color?
Blue.
Great. I like
Yeah.
the non-reds on those. If
Yeah.
someone out there has a 512 BBI they would like to let me have a go in, the last one I drove I didn't love, but I would love to have my mind changed on that. I would love.
I'd rather have you drive a carbureted, so stick with 512 BB.
Oh, BBs, okay.
Rather than the I, but that's up
Or-
to whatever they want to loan you.
Or if you have a 365.
There you
Which
go.
I've never had a go in. That's the small engine one, folks, for those of you out there.
Slightly smaller.
Little smaller, and you can tell because it's got this very bizarre 3 exhaust pipes per side configuration.
Yes.
I knew a guy who had one, and I made a complete ass of myself by being like, what is that weird, stupid exhaust? He's like, no, stupid, shut up. And he really schooled me on those. Have you driven a 365, either of you?
Yeah.
You've driven.
yeah.
What is the difference driving them? I've never even discussed driving one.
Not a lot. A little bit of torque.
Uh-huh.
And they have some significant cooling problems. The 512BB was a much better developed version of it with the ducting on the side and better radiators and fans. So that's a lot more usable in modern world.
Speaking of which, this brings me to a question. If you take a car that is notorious for having an overheating problem, like a Mangusta or a 365 or something
Right.
like that,
Or a Westfield.
something of provenance, and you modify it in such a way that it adds some drivability, is
Right.
that going to negatively affect a value at an auction? Or
If you follow the Tread Lightly program, which is don't cut vents and things like that, then no, that's absolutely fine.
if you put a bigger radiator or convert to electric fans or something like that, like, is that kosher?
To me, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, me too.
I
You know.
agree.
And you can probably keep
does
the stock
market-
parts, right? Like if you that kind of thing. Like
That's
keep
the
the
idea.
Keep the stock
box,
parts.
you know.
Explain that it was, prepared for actual road use, not just a Concours. And then I think people understand.
Yeah. What is let's see. Where did I want to go with that? What else? What do you? How about, oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
want to ask. So you said you've had a lot in your personal collection. You've
Yes.
probably driven a lot. Is there something that you haven't checked off the list? Like, an itch. I know you want to own it. We all want to own
Endless.
everything. But like, realistically, like, what's the next box? You've I've been circling these for 20 years or something. Is there something like that?
I'm not currently searching, so that means that I haven't really zeroed in on the rest. I've kind of went through the pecking order of early 911s, and then I had a Ferrari phase, and now I'm just kind of waiting on the next. Everything's pretty well cooked right now, and so I like to get in on the earlier phase of their rise in value.
What's in the toilet
and
right
improve
now?
them. Yeah, I don't know what's in the
Where do
toilet
you-
right now.
Panteras were kind of the not great Panteras were sort of cheap at Scottsdale.
Right.
There was a couple very minty, very expensive ones, and the rest were all $45,000.
Well, I mean, that's a conversation we can have all day long of what's undervalued, what's not. But I think that the specific question that I was taking was, what do I want? And that is, if I'm going to own it for a couple of years, I'm going to give it garage space, I'm going to yell at the kids for keeping the strollers away from it, then it better be something that I like to drive, and I'm just not a Pantera guy.
Fair.
So when it comes to buying something for my business, I'll buy something undervalued any day of the week and not worry about it. But if I'm going to own it, I need to like it.
That's fair. It's fair. Is the experience of owning a late 70s 12-cylinder Ferrari match the mystique of owning a late 70s
Yeah.
12-cylinder Ferrari?
Yeah.
It was overall a rewarding and
Yeah.
worthwhile experience.
Yeah. It was a really great driving car.
What if you didn't make money on it? Would it still be worthwhile?
Yeah.
What if you lost money on it? Was it that good?
Oh, no.
You know?
No, now you're diving straight into his inner
I'm just
psyche.
curious because someone out there, people fucking email me all the time. What's it really like to own whatever? It's like, it's a car that you drive and it makes you feel nice. But it's to me a lot of the mystique around exotic cars is gone. They're nice, they're engineered well, they're fun to drive, but the magic isn't there. I don't know. And some people feel that there is a magic.
Well, there
You've
is a
been doing it too
magic,
long.
and
Probably.
I would just say that I wouldn't have sold it if it was because I liked it so much. I wouldn't have sold it if it was a loss or didn't perform the way that I had hoped.
Well, that's a good one. If you keep it, and you go, well, worst case, I've got a great car.
I'm
What's
just-
that?
And that's circling back to what we were talking about putting miles on the thing.
Yeah.
If you lose money and you've put 10,000 miles on it, and you've lost X
Yeah,
dollars,
what is that 10,000
that's-
miles worth to you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That can amortize over each mile that you put on. Was it that enjoyable? If
Yeah.
you sat there and looked at it and polished it and screamed at the kids and etc., then what's the point?
I had to sell a DeLorean because I spent a lot of time looking at it and no time driving it.
You are fine with that.
I made money. I turned a profit.
I bet you wish you still had it.
There's
There's a car that spiked.
I was the first on the spike. I bought the car for 10, a barn find car, 2,600 mile barn find car. Put 37 into a restoration, so I was 47 into the car, and I sold it for 57 on Bring a Trailer 3 years later after putting 3,000 more miles on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it did well. And the guy, not only did the guy pay buyer's commission, he paid in euros and shipped it to Europe. So this guy paid the equivalent of like 70 grand for this car. It was fresh. As fresh a DeLorean as ever there was. Brilliant. But I didn't enjoy driving it. And it sat and I looked at it a lot. What about you, Nick? What about what's in your history before the 7 there?
At the moment, I got a bunch of restoration projects on the go. Like I always tell
many?
anyone,
How many's a
3.
bunch?
Okay.
I tell people, anyone who listen, buy them done. So I've got 3 on the go, and a bike. I've just got the bike out though.
And that's a professional thing though. Your restorations. So these are
No.
personal.
No, this was cool. Let's paint it.
No.
No, it was 74 Alpha GTV. That
Those are good.
well, we're going to dive into that.
They're lovely.
57 Alpha. It's a lovely car. It was a result. There was a crash car, and it was a long story. 57 Alpha Giulietta and a Sunbeam Tiger.
Oh. What's happened with tigers? Is
They're
anyone
through the roof.
Are they?
They're $200,000. Shut up. They're $200,000 plus for a nice one, especially if they're blue.
we were at Pebble Beach like
I like
2
where
years
this is
ago
going.
maybe, and we saw one go across, and it was at like Russo's. It was like a pretty
Yeah.
expensive auction, and it followed Ferrari something, and we're like, what's happening here? And it crested 6 figures, and the whole room was totally shocked.
It was one of the hard top ones.
Don't be shocked.
They made like
Yeah.
not many with that hard top.
Harrington.
What was it called?
The
Harrington.
Harrington.
The-
Yeah. It
Harrington
was actually
Lamar.
it was a very
Yeah.
good looking car.
Yeah.
Giving it Sunbeam Tiger Harrington.
Those seem very fun to drive.
Look at
Seems like the
that.
right
That's a
format.
fucking little sexy
it's
car.
It's a little sad. It's 160 horsepower in standard, but it's a 260 or a 289 depending on what year you've got, and so it's $3 to make it 300 horsepower.
exactly. You're
Wait,
right.
could you could did they make a Harrington with a V8? They did, right? Or could you only
They
get
did,
that
they're
with
very
a
few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very few.
I think that might have been the rare. It was super rare and very pretty. Can you buy a Tiger and modify it, and that's okay? With the
I
with, not
have.
with
I've
the
gone.
world.
I went round all the colours and actually painted the car twice. I painted it a proper Sunbeam colour and went, oh no,
What color?
oh dear.
What color did you paint it?
It's Ferrari Tour de France blue.
Well, that's a nice color. What
It's
was wrong with it?
Beautiful. No, it is now.
What was it
But
before?
the original Sunbeam Tiger was sad. Sad.
Come
blue.
on.
It was like a it was sort of like a school uniform in England blue. It was just nice.
Like
Oh,
Just
princess?
dull.
Like a.
It started off life as a baby blue, and I've never had
Okay.
good fun with baby blue cars.
Yeah.
So I went the dark blue, and it was just not great. So
I've got that nitrous
a Ferrari
blue
thing.
on the Focus RS, which is a great
Nice.
blue. And if I ever do another custom car, I would definitely steal nitrous blue for. It's like so many coats to do it because it's got this crazy
Right.
flake in it, but
Right.
worth it. Shit is sweet. So what are some of the highlights of the weird stuff people brought by the show?
Well, a guy brought in a what he called the Blu-ray 3.
Oh no!
He owned 2 Lancias, built-in period, by Nardi, or actually a project overseen by Nardi using the various, the best Italian people in his area. So they built these 2 fantastic cars as show cars, the Blu-ray 1 and the Blu-ray 2. And this guy ended up owning both of them. And so he would take them around and show them, and Nardi approached him and said, what would you think about building Blu-ray 3? And as I understand the situation, he sort of ran off on his own and kind of started it and built his own car.
Nardi did or the owner did?
The owner of Blu-ray 1 and 2.
Okay.
So he built his own car in the what would you say, in the style or in the theory, Nick? You saw this thing.
Yeah.
In the spirit.
I'd say all of that.
In
Spirit
the spirit.
of?
In the
spirit of the
spirit,
first two?
possibly vodka.
What I've never heard of the Blu-ray.
Oh, you got to look up.
Can you look up
Pull
the
that up,
Nardi
Look up
Nardi Lancia Blu-ray? I've never heard of this.
Blu-ray
Pretty
1
spectacular.
is a spectacular car.
Blu-ray, one word, two word? Oh, here it is. This thing?
Yeah. The design study.
Oh, those
There
are
you go.
badass. That's
Okay.
1 and 2?
That's
Yeah.
1 and 2.
It's kind of a bubble top.
Like a bubble Corvair.
Wow. Dual cowl sort of thing. Not dual cowl, dual windshield, right? What do you call
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
Dual
Split.
cowl? That could be appropriate.
Split windshield.
really interesting
Reminds
design
me of
study.
those Alpha
Very-
Bat
yeah.
concepts.
Right,
Same
exactly.
period.
Right. Same period. So he owned both of those.
That's
and,
gangster.
and went and built.
That's amazing.
Gangsters gonna drive
No.
Jetsons.
Gangstar.
I'm sorry, my vernacular is not.
West Side.
It's very like
Gangster
bubble,
just means good.
it's like bubble Jetsons front for people listening. It's like a bubbly Jetsons front, and then the back though has like the little angular wings on it.
Yeah.
With like a crease on the back quarter panel, and then the double windshield with 1, 2, 3 like 3 hood scoops, one of which is mounted on the
Really?
roof.
It's like
Just-
somewhere between Motorama and Gia on a launch show. Fucking hot looking, man. Real cool.
detuned Batmobile.
Yeah. Oh,
So
what are these worth?
those are absolutely fantastic styling exercises. They had all of Nardi's Go Fast parts in it. Nardi was a big tuner for Lancia. So all of that makes perfect
What's
sense.
the undercar? What's that based on?
It's an Aurelia.
Oh, it's an Aurelia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the bigger roadster, right?
There was a Roadster. There was also a coupe.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
just a Lancia chassis for sport touring. So those are fantastic, show car styling exercises with all the speed parts in them. Those cars are.
Cool.
That pair of car is probably $4 million,
For,
possibly more. The first two
for the pair
together.
or yeah,
the pair.
together.
The pair.
Yeah.
I would
I
estimate.
would have guessed higher than that. I mean, you're the expert, but that seems low for something
No,
that's that pretty.
it's hard to be the expert in something that rare. It's really just an opinion. But yeah, Blu-ray 1's probably $2.5 million. Blu-ray 2's probably 1.5 to 2.
And this is Blu-ray 3.
Yeah.
Okay, and what year are we talking about here for Blu-ray 3? This has got to be middle 90s, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you with this one.
There's a lot of 90s on this thing.
Yep.
It's not gone
There's a
well.
lot of 99.
F-body hood scoop.
Blu-ray 1, $2.5 million. Blu-ray 2, 2.2. $19,995 for this.
I've never heard of a single person approaching an OEM and just going, I made you a present. That car you guys stopped building. I kept doing it, and come around the corner and see it. This bold undertaking.
So the underpinnings of this. Lancia Aurelia? No.
Wait, should we guess?
Not Fiero.
Is it a
No.
It's a Miata?
Because we'll be here all day. You're very close. It's a Mazda 929.
A 929?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did that have that weird Miller cycle engine?
Later on. This is an earlier one.
Okay.
This
what-
is the first year of the 929. The Miller cycle came in the third year of production when they changed the name to.
Millennia.
You
Yes.
did a lot of
Yeah.
Mazda research, didn't you?
Have you seen my paycheck?
Bro. Okay, so there's a 929. Is it front-wheel drive?
He
then,
didn't
too?
keep the original parts, which was unfortunate, especially to the value.
I really
Because you couldn't put it back.
hurt the
We're further
value.
to that conversation.
Wait,
you can't
put
it
this back up full screen,
If you
Tim.
put
The
it
Blu-ray
back.
3.
Put it back to a
put that back
929.
up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
This is pretty.
the 929's a front-wheel drive car, isn't it? Or is it not?
Not this one.
Oh, no. Okay.
no.
Wow. It is not good looking.
No.
So did the original owner of this brought this in?
Yeah.
Wow.
The guy that built it.
And he has the first two as well?
Well, he did. And so, in my initial conversation with him, I was thinking, well, I understand you've increased the portfolio. You know, the Blu-ray family just went from 2 to 3. And so, if these cars all stay together, somebody's obviously buying 3. Nope. 1 and 2 are gone. I just have 3. And so it became difficult to value.
Oh, no. I
And
don't
we
want
have to. We really have to save anything else for the show, right? This hasn't aired yet, so I don't want to completely.
You don't want to blow it.
I don't want to completely squash the conversation that I hope everybody watches.
Tension.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was
Let's
drama.
Let's
should we
just.
say.
Can we play over under? Can we play over under?
Yeah.
I'm gonna set the over under at $17,000. You give me the over under.
It is hot in here.
Would you like some cold water?
I mean, it would be one thing if it was remotely good looking. It's just really unfortunate.
It has rarity on its side.
Have you seen
Thank
more?
God.
Have you
You're
seen
very
more
good
than
at
the one
this.
angle? There should be a lot of.
Is there a
pictures.
better angle?
No.
No, there couldn't be.
No,
Well, is there
that way, if you look that way, is
Looking
infinitely
Pull
better.
it out of my
looking
brain.
away.
Yeah.
There's one of the camera facing the
Well,
other direction.
credit to the first two because they're very nice.
The first two are unbelievable.
Which made me think, whatever happened to those bat concepts? Does Alfa Romeo still own them, or do those private collectors own those things? Do you know those things?
I think all three are owned by Alpha.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
I
I
know
loved
where
those
they
cars.
were.
Yeah, you know that Patrick brokered
Yeah.
those from the Don Williams collection.
The Alpha Bat concept. There was three
Todd
of
and I
these
used to work
cars.
for the same company many years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
And you brokered those cars?
No, our boss,
boss.
at the time was the one that brokered the three back cars out of the
Yes.
Japanese collection and into
Did they
the
go to
present
Alpha?
owner. Yeah, what's that?
They went to Alpha. I thought they went privately first.
So the Bat
don't
cars
remember.
were these weird aerodynamic studies, and we got a picture on the screen. These are real cars.
Fantastic.
Is that in the correct order?
Gorgeous.
1, 2, 3, left to right? I believe it is.
I thought the one in the middle was one.
I don't know, but they are the coolest looking things you ever will see if you ever are lucky enough to see one in person. They're crazy. Oh, they're based on just regular cars too, right? Like
I think-
Sprint Specials or Julias or something?
I don't even know. I
Not
would guess
Juliettas.
1900s. I would guess 1900s or something.
Maybe 1900s, yeah.
They are, I mean, it's the coolest Finn cars ever. I think they're actually aerodynamic at all.
Oh,
They had no idea.
They move air across them in a strange
do.
pattern, yeah.
And then wasn't there an updated concept as well? There was a Bat concept at a certain point.
yeah, I
There
guess
it
so.
was,
Look
the
at that.
Bertone Bat 11. That has Jason Castriota written all over it.
It does.
And that really looks like
In her handwriting.
yeah.
Talk about a blind spot.
Yeah, I don't know about the chick, but yeah, that looks, and that probably turned into that Bertone Mantidae thing he made,
Yeah.
which was weird and cool. What do you guys see? What about do you ever see modern coach built cars?
Yeah,
like that cross the block?
absolutely.
How do they do?
Not that great. I mean, Nick and I knew a guy that paid Zagato to turn his 575 Maranello into basically a 250 GTZ.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like a
And-
back? Oh, like that?
Yeah, that's the car.
Whoa!
Yeah.
He turned his Ferrari into an Aston Martin. It's really strange looking.
That's very
That
odd.
is a weird looking car, man.
So he bought a used 550 Maranello and paid Zagato to convert it into that, and he was the first, and so I think he paid $2.5 million
Oh my god!
for the for the bodywork conversion.
Plus the car,
Plus
And
the car.
which wasn't cheap in those days.
I
Sure,
believe
they're not cheap now. They're gorgeous.
I believe that they were able to build 2 or 3 more for other owners, and since they had already figured it out,
Yeah.
the subsequent cars were cheaper, but still over $1 million.
Honestly, that I don't know about you guys. I don't think that looks good at all.
No.
Zagato rarely swings and misses, but this time I can't bite my tongue and pretend that looks good. That's
Look at
not
that
a win.
rear arch there.
Looks like an amphibious vehicle.
Well, it looks like, a lot of these guys who try and put fucking C3 Corvette bodies on C6 Corvettes. It looks like that. It's like you tried to take something from a certain time period, but mix it with modern wheels. It doesn't work.
I'm obsessed with that new Lancia Stratos that
That
they built
works.
on the 430. Have you
Hell
seen the black one?
Hell yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my god,
Stunning.
Dude,
that
that's
a
works.
car.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
it's
For every
amazing.
one of these misses like this thing,
Yes.
there is a win. Look at the black one. There is a win, and that is fucking
If
it. It is
somebody can
rock
have a bad
and-
day at work
Oh!
and
Gorgeous.
come out with that.
So
Absolutely
sexy.
gorgeous.
The back.
Do you think that drives
rear
remote?
three-quarter.
If that drives even a third of how good it looks, That's the greatest thing ever.
No, absolutely.
Well, if it's based on a 430, do you know if they changed the geometry of the suspension or any of the measurements at all?
I've done zero research.
I have no idea, but that would need to.
I think they shortened the wheelbase. I don't think it's a 430 chassis. I think it's a 430 powertrain, and
dropped in.
They do a whole different front thing. I don't know.
You may be right.
That engine is sitting. Looks like right over the rear axle.
Oh, he's so great.
Go to the overhead shot.
That is such a sexy car. Please, someone let me drive one of those. I heard they're building a few of these. That they're offering this as a. And look at the it's a longitudinal engine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The original Stratos had a transverse,
and the engine's mounted in front of the rear axle.
That's crazy. It's a complete 430 Scud powertrain. That's so wild. You guys driven an original Stratos before?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's such a weird car.
Yeah.
Very weird car.
Did you drive a road car or a race car?
Road.
And was it nice?
No.
No.
Not particularly.
Oh my God, no.
I drove a race car, and it was as raced as last race, it was last race at the Monte Carlo Rally. So it was geared. Top speed and top gear was 62.
Nice.
So it wasn't exactly an ideal experience, but I feel like the normal road cars probably drove a little better. Maybe not.
Yeah.
If you listen to the video, you thought you were doing 140.
Yeah.
And it was like getting passed by buses.
It was the John Campion collection down in Florida.
Right, yeah.
He's like a crazy hardcore Lancia works enthusiast. It's a full collection of every Lancia Works vehicle from 1975 to 1988.
Wow, I didn't know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody please let
Not
me
sure
drive
about
one
those
of
front
these
lights though.
What are those off of, a Gallardo? Looks like Gallardo lights, don't they?
They look like short Gallardo lights.
They look like Gallardo lights where you flipped the sides.
They're
You
not Mazda 929 by chance, are they?
Probably.
Little bit of Pikachu.
There you go.
What about, guys, the imports? You know, now it's like 25 years. We're getting into the 90s now. I think it's going to get hot with the imports.
So we're all against it. Shut down. God, I want a Lancia Delta.
So bad.
God, I want one of those.
They're so. I see one driving around Malibu once in a while, and I'm like, it's so hot.
Black tan, if you can find one.
That blue right here is very nice.
Oh
That's
yeah. That's the best looking wheel, I think, on any car from that era, bar none.
Who made those? Are they Campagnolo or something like that?
Probably.
They are probably so expensive to replace if you have to replace a set of those wheels. Why do I feel like they're OZ now? All of a sudden they said that. I think they're OZ. I don't know, it's some rally shit.
Well, yeah, it's the rally style, which a lot of people did.
Oh,
there you go.
I love everything Lancia did in this period of time. I just got a little up close and personal with an 037. I didn't get to drive it, but it was incredible. Leno was
there was a good one in Scottsdale, right?
Was there a good 037 in Scottsdale?
Yeah.
Did it sell?
Yeah, it
what
sold
did it
very
get?
well. I don't remember. 4 to 5,
Somewhere
I
in there.
think.
That seems. I would have guessed higher. I think that car.
That's where they're hovering at the moment. We had a
Really?
couple of we had a couple of rally cars with the sale that I was at the time.
Is that when it like
People are getting
with
all into it.
yeah the ebbs and flows of the tide where there's too many rally cars and people can't get
The market can yump, just like a Group B rally car.
Yeah. Do you find isn't it funny? It's like when the first car hits that milestone. You know, it's like the first Gullwing to go for $1 million. The next year, there's like 10 Gullwings on the docket, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
So what hit a milestone this year that's going to bring all the boys to the yard next year? Anyone have it? Was there a new record for anything this year?
There could be 929 modified cars.
What is that?
Mazda 929 modified cars.
929 modified cars. I was told
the door didn't open this year. I didn't see anything.
my friends at Haggerty are all like Diablos. It's all about early Diablos right now.
Diablos are an issue because they were driven. They're
Yeah.
a driven car, and it's one of those cars. If you ignore it and leave it or drive it, it's going to go wrong either way. So you got to find a good one that's not modified with guns and rockets and.
So funny. Do you know
Flying
Dave
lots of-
Vitale?
I used to work for Lamborghini. I watched all that stuff come through. Oh
I know this
God.
guy who was like this crazy meathead who had this Diablo Roadster and he put tribal graphics on it and nitrous and straight pipes. It was hysterical.
Yeah. When I started at Lamborghini, I was explaining that Lamborghini drivers drive, so what we need to do is do a driving event. And I'll never forget 6 Lamborghinis across the 10 freeway, including both shoulders, banging down scaring the hell out of everyone on it. It was good fun.
What
Oh, wow. Sounds like a
what
good time.
era was that?
That was 2005.
So these would have been like Merces and
Merces and
Gallardos.
Gallardos,
Yeah. Actually, I think early Merces are with 6 speeds are good buys
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
are.
just drove a 6-speed Merce and I was shocked at how good it was.
But
It
they're
was
good. They're a
lovely.
good car. They're like all of those cars. The
Yeah.
basic car is
Yeah.
a well-engineered piece of kit.
Yeah.
It's the little buttons and the little things that go wrong because they're built down
Yeah.
to money
Yeah, do you
or stolen from Volvo.
I always found like it was like Ferrari switches would like just fall out and like tail lights would just fall out and stuff like
Well,
that.
They're a collector's car. These
Then
are
there's
pieces
the
collected.
whole era of the soft touch plastic that turned to
The sticky plastic?
goo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Every listing on like Bring a Trailer, it's
Yeah.
like stickiness taken care of.
Right.
Still sticky. All the Ferrari
But that can
dashboards get
mean-
so sticky.
that can mean 5,000 different things too. I mean, you still have to look at it. The sticky fix is a broad term. Fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Lamborghini, of course, it means something completely different. It's got a sticky dashboard.
I feel like Diablo's. I'm gonna regret not buying one for $100,000 at some point. You know,
It won't fit on my driveway.
it won't.
It just won't go down the bloody driveway.
Is there no aftermarket nose lift at the front end?
Oh, just it's the width.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a great fun car.
Yeah.
Really good fun.
We used to have a problem at the rental car company putting the Mercies into the trailer. They would
Yeah.
only go
Oh,
in the
yeah.
back of the trailer. It was super, super annoying. What are some of the most like, when you're dealing with the auctions, right? The energy of an auction. Are if you get guys who start drinking and stuff at RM or Gooding or Barrett or whatever, do they end up spending way too much money? Are these cars well bought at a public auction like that? I mean, I know everyone wants to go to Pebble and buy something, but is that really the way to buy a car?
No.
What's the way to buy a car?
I think the most sort of respectable transaction in the collector world is the collector to collector transaction. You buy a car from your friend, really, and he's owned it for a period of time and can explain to you where it's been and all of that. So that's the ultimate. And then I think otherwise you find a reputable dealer who knows what he's representing and he's spent some time driving it and can speak intelligently about it.
Mm.
The obituaries are good as well.
Estate sales?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's with,
I can't comment on this. I do this
somebody wanted me to
professionally. I think
do
North
a
is
barn
perfect
find
place
show
to
at some
place,
point. Is there a limit to the number of barn finds remaining? I mean, it seems like people kind of think that we're running out of barn finds, and then next year someone shows up with some insane thing, and some dust covered.
I did a car rally in November with a guy with a 911 that was in nice condition, and he'd wrapped it to look like a barn find. It was just green and rust.
He wrapped it to make it look like
Wrapped
rust.
Oh, he
to look like a
patinaed
barn
it.
find.
He wrapped
Wow.
it.
That's sort of fun.
Well, he wanted to protect the paint. I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
underneath.
Well, it's a fun way to do it.
Have barn finds always been a category? Like I didn't really learn about them as this thing that was like, oh, this has been untouched and it's on flat tires, but it's worth $3 million because
More
it's never
often
been
than
touched.
not, they're a financial anomaly. First of all, just because it was abandoned or left or forgotten in a barn doesn't make it a good car. They can still rust. They can still have had the wrong engine from 5 years old, whatever. It doesn't by definition make it a good car. Yet people just love to be the one to knock the dirt off of them and have them restored. A lot of times they bring a lot more money than a comparable driver, which has no unknowns, which you can inspect, and you can test drive. But yet somebody wants that really dirty, sometimes rusty one to take it through the process.
Is it a story thing where it just gets people kind of stirred up of we found this? I mean, this is a weird analogy, but like a rescue dog where you're like, oh, there's a rescue. It's like, no, it's to still
was
Bill
interesting
Bergeron.
on my
It's a free-
DeLorean.
It's a free.
People like that.
Well,
shit.
you found like a low mileage, unrusted car, but
Yeah.
there's people that are finding cars that have like
Oh,
tires
yeah.
with mice living in them.
Yeah.
They're not rusted, and then they restore it, and that like becomes part of the narrative of like, oh my god, the legend of this car that was kind of being reborn. Is that why they sell better, or is it?
I don't know why they sell better. I think people want to be the first one to bring it out of hibernation and make all the choices along the way. If it's original and can be saved, meaning like it just needs some buffing and the paint has a cool patina pattern to it, that I totally get. But to go buy a car that needs a full restoration, including metal work, and pay significantly more than a comparable driver, which you could restore for less and still have a restored car in the end, that I just don't find the logic in.
We sold I worked for a company. We sold a Bugatti that the Italian owner had lobbed it into a lake in order to avoid paying taxes.
Oh, the car in Texas?
And, no, in Italy. And it was,
How many times did this happen?
In Texas as well.
God. And the sales catalogue had photographs of the divers in there pulling it up and roping it up and bringing it up, and there was a lot of
It's a buzz about it, right?
Over this car. Yeah.
Very strange.
Was the car in functional condition at the time you sold it, or was it?
No,
it was not.
No.
Oh,
it
this
was
a
literally
waterlogged,
rusted out, been in the lake for 50 years, lawn art.
Oh, whoa. When you said Bugatti, I was thinking Veyron. You're talking about the Lady of the Lake car, right?
Yeah.
That Mullins got. Yeah. Oh, that's a whole thing. Oh. No,
well,
so there's a car. Is it called Lady of the Lake?
It's in a lake.
Is it called Lady of the Lake? Yeah, there it is. Peter Mullen at his collection in Oxnard has this thing.
Yeah.
Now he buffed that paint out, put fresh gas in it.
This is like a shipwreck pulled off the off the ground. And it's displayed.
And he has a museum, so then it kind of makes sense. I guess
it does. Yeah. But he paid what he paid. There was somebody right behind him with another bid.
When you've got a museum, what's the difference if it runs or not? That is probably the top 3 most interesting things at his museum, in a museum that is full of only extraordinary things. Other things, he's got the Veyron prototype in there.
That's really cool.
That had a 6-speed in it. It was a W16 with a stick. Veyron.
It's the blue one, right?
Yeah. And then he had the Galibier, the Veyron, the 4-door Bugatti concept,
I don't know,
which was, I believe, it's called Galibier, Galibier, which was a sedan Bugatti concept. There it is. Yep, he's got that.
It's like a Panamera.
It looks sort of Panamera-y.
But that was that picture I remember was out.
That's actually very pretty.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That's not actually the one. I think the picture on the top right is the actual. That is the actual vehicle, and it's got the crazy multiple exhaust tips like the Atlantic
built
coupe.
that.
Look at that.
They should have. It's sexy.
Atlantic.
Yeah.
If that was
the dorsal fin.
Yeah, and he has something called a Voisin Aerodyne.
Oh yeah,
Fabulous.
I have a picture of that in my dining room.
That's extraordinary.
Very pretty car.
Yeah. So Mullen,
Best interiors.
And you can go visit this museum. This is a public museum that is open, and it's called
Oxnard, California.
It's in Oxnard, yeah. Just the Mullen. Okay, wait. It's Aerodyne.
Yes, Aerodyne.
Aerodyne. And that is a real crazy car.
But I'd love to make a point, if you don't mind, with regards to the Bugatti from the lake that they pulled from the bottom and the ridiculous amount of money that it brought at auction. What some people don't understand is certain cars can add huge value to museums and to collections. So if you can buy a bookend or the ultimate addition to a collection, it really raises the value of the entire collection. We appraised a Model T on the show on Sticker Shock. And
is that the guy who dressed in period in the trailer?
No. We had one, and it had driven. It was a famous car. It had driven all over the United States with a bunch of women behind the wheel. Every summer, they took this 1,000 or 2 mile trip to visit different things.
Really?
So it's a really, really famous car, and I appraised it, and I valued it, I think, in the 30 to 50,000 range. Now,
pretty high for a T.
A Model T should be 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah.
But with the history of this car, you could build an entire room at a museum or a collection with all the period pictures of the girls driving around and meeting Henry Ford. And so, unfortunately, a lot of that explanation was cut, and people are just like, "Oh, this guy thinks the Model T is worth 30 to 50,000." It's like, well, there's a longer story there.
Right.
It's a really important display piece.
It's a display. Yeah, it's a potentially revenue generating display piece.
Exactly.
It's not. it's not a Model T that you would buy to just drive around.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. Although, you know, our friend John Bothwell down in Costa Mesa is like the king of Model Ts.
Oh yeah.
And he's, you know, we love this guy. He came with us. We made a crappy little movie where we bought some beaters and went off-road for 1,000 miles.
Really?
Yeah, he came in a Model T.
Oh boy.
He drove
amazing.
he drove his Model T 1,000 miles unprepped. His great uncle got it new, modified it in period, gave it to him when he died. He changed the oil and brought it to Phoenix and drove it 1,000 miles off road, on like tires from the 30s. Like, who fucking
He brought like
Wow.
6 extra tires. Didn't use any of them. The car handled some of the off-road sections far better than ours did because it had, 2 feet of ground clearance
were you
and
driving?
it just skittered up.
I was driving a Toyota Previa. I bought for $1,600. He was driving a Hyundai Accent that he bought for
$600.
$600.
because I was told the budget was $1,000.
When you're the boss,
Your
you
budget
know the
was
budget.
$1,000.
But yeah, it was an amazing off-road vehicle, and he's
Really
since
cool.
built the Super T, which has the best of every period technology for off-roading put onto the Model T. So it has like a valve cover and a water pump and some sort of force-fed driven fuel system and drum brakes, and like it's got between the high-low, the gearbox, and the transfer case. I think it's 12 gears. It's crazy.
Oh my
It's so
God.
fucking yeah. It's so cool. It's down at John's shop. Super and it looks stock.
I
It
need
looks
to
normal.
call him.
Other than having metal wheels instead of wood wheels, it looks completely stock. You'd never know.
Well, and then he has the high-speed T, right? That has
He's
like
got
a gold radiator.
Yeah,
that's
he's got a T
wedge
race
shape.
car.
Yeah, it's cool. Basically, like the whole cabin is off, and it's like a seat, a steering wheel, and then the radiator has been shaped into a wedge to cut through the air, to hit 40 miles an hour. Or something
Yeah, he
like
said
that.
it does 70. It's scary. He's a crazy person.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him in Dubai in one of his Persang Bugatti Type 35s, 140 miles an hour in Dubai in that car with
Oh.
no helmet and nothing, just open face. He got a
Cigar.
photo ticket. He actually got a ticket from a camera in Dubai, and the thing it's framed, and he's like,
pretty cool.
like bonsai in this
How would they know where to send that ticket?
I don't know. The facial recognition got
it
him with
to-
the visas over there. They
Send it
get you.
to Argentina.
All right, so I give you each of you gets $1 million, and you have to buy 2 cars. And while we're contemplating this, join us if you're watching live on the Super Chat. If you have car investing questions, buying or selling questions, car inspecting questions, auction questions, hit us up on the Super Chat for Todd and Nick. Maybe we can answer some of your questions on the program. $1 million budget, 2 cars. Todd, go. It's a really realistic game.
I would buy my first 911S back. I sold it under duress and wish that I could have it back. So that car's probably worth $175,000. If I had $1 million to blow, would probably pay up to $350 to get it from the guy that owns it that doesn't want to sell it. So that leaves $650 in the balance. I would ask Nick if he wanted to split an F40.
Good.
And,
That's a
we
good
could-
call.
we-
Good
we
one.
could go halves.
Halvesies on an F40.
Yeah,
He lives
yeah.
close enough, and I sort of trust him. So
Bad.
would you share an F40 with me?
Absolutely, yeah.
There you go.
I'd spend all $1 million on a
There-
high
Yeah.
mile F40
Yeah.
and
There's
then
my
a
million.
Previa.
Pretty good.
997,500 for the F40, and then 1,800 for a Previa.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
and off-road.
An
One of
off-road
them.
Previa.
They're all off-road Previas. You just have
All-
to commit.
So the thing about a Previa is mid-engine rear drive minivan.
What about the Mazda MPV though?
They were sweet.
Yeah.
Rappers preferred the MPV.
Yeah. Better ground clearance?
Probably, but they didn't look good.
No.
Previa looked better.
Okay.
And wasn't the MPV
No,
front-wheel
subjective.
drive? I don't think the MPV was. The Previa was
Oh,
but it came-
rear-wheel drive.
But the MPV came all-wheel
There's
drive,
an
too.
MPV all-wheel drive.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
You got me there, buddy.
Why don't you invite me on your next little off-road
We didn't
cheapie
know each
and
other.
I'll-
You're invited
No.
now. Come
Your
on up.
Your next one.
Come
Your next one
on
I'm
down.
in, I'll get an MPV.
Well, oh, look at that
Real
MPV. Hell yeah. Dude, with a lift and some
Yeah.
BFG ATs and a bash bar. That shit looks dope.
Yeah.
Now I know where they got the Ford Edge design.
That
from
looks
now.
really good. Like,
know
that's
what
an
else
attractive vehicle.
Is really cheap too that you can get all-wheel drive and they're giant inside. You can get an R-Class Mercedes
Oh, yeah.
for like $4 or $5 grand.
Like a 350?
And they are bigger
Yeah.
than an E Series Ford van. I mean, They will fit everything that you have in your life.
That's a good
That'd
tip.
be a lot of fun.
We were just talking about the R63 on the last show.
Yeah, that's kind of become a darling of the auction scene. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a high mileage 350 to take off road.
Lift it.
That sounds
It'd
like a
be
good
sweet.
plan. I like that plan. My favorite of this style of this MPV,
Yeah.
you know the Mitsubishi Delica?
Yeah.
That's my new favorite one. It's a JDM.
I am not an MPV guy. I'm
No,
telling
no,
you.
I'm not
This
an MPV
conversation,
guy
I'm
either.
so happy.
I'm not, but I do like
I know
this.
nothing
This
of what
the
you speak.
Mitsubishi Delica with the off-road package.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yep.
This has got like a little mild lift on it,
I
right-hand drive.
so don't want one.
No,
And these things are small too.
fall
Very
over.
small.
They're
little.
They're-
That will fall over.
Probably.
probably yeah, but you'll push it right back up.
Because it's not good looking. It's not good looking, so it doesn't
Hopefully it'll-
matter.
It doesn't need to be good looking, but I kind of
Sliding
like to
side
roll it to
door.
Mammoth in one of those things. It's pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
Wow.
I'm about them.
A lot of body lift.
I think. Do you guys get down with the JDM imports at all?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are,
well, yeah.
are Skylines doing well in the auctions?
They're certainly picking up steam. They're certainly solidifying the market. There were a couple of high, a couple of lows, and
Of
they're
the
generally,
JDM, is that that's
Yeah.
the mark to have as a Skyline, or is there something else coming up?
I think the problem with Skylines is people are buying them in Japan and bringing them here because they're rare and you can get them in. Frankly, they're worth more in Japan. So as a business, I mean, Nick and I are both in the business. They make absolutely no sense. So you go to Tokyo, you buy one, you pay retail, you bring it here, it's worth less.
Really? Wow.
That doesn't
But
make any
if
sense.
you import enough of them, you can probably make it up in volume.
It's true.
Right. Okay. So you by making up margins on the not great ones,
Sounds like
you can probably.
that's my personal.
I bought a Skyline here, and I had a
Yeah.
very good experience. I bought it from Sean Morris at International Vehicle Importers. He's a
Okay.
super knowledgeable, great guy. Has a great staff or a great stock of cars. Bought the car, drove it for 6 months, was happy with it, and made a fuckload of money when I sold it.
Nice.
That's nice.
I wonder-
Very happy
Do
about
you,
it.
do you think the 32s weren't as collectible in Japan, so the costs were lower? Is it like all Skylines are expensive in Japan and here, or is it R34s that they have kind of, I don't know, fell back in love with?
I think people here just judge the model and the body. I think they're a lot more astute buyers, and they start looking at the engine, and it's you can get the higher performance. Oh, this is an N1 block, and so that's the race version. They're a lot more technical and picky, and they know what they're looking at. People here are just like, oh, that's an R32.
It's not salvaged.
Fair point.
Okay.
Right.
Dash bubble. No dash bubble.
Right.
It's got a lot of Japanese characters on these pieces of metal. Sure.
Actually, speaking of Japan and cars out of Japan, though, I am starting to see a lot of Euro spec RS Porsches,
Yeah.
the rare Flakbaus, and and other exotics and interesting cars that are really clean coming out of Japan. Why are the Japanese dumping their 25-year-old cars on us right now?
Well, the market here is higher for them. People are buying those Carrera 2 RSs from Japan. They're in better condition than the ones that were sold to Europe, so lower miles. But most things out of Japan have been repainted. They will repaint a car at the drop of a hat. They have a completely different sensibility regarding originality than we do. So that's definitely
That's
making
interesting.
it.
I hadn't thought about that.
That's making it a tongue twister. Yeah, it was explained to me, and I don't have personal knowledge of this, but it was explained to me that their insurance system is such that you can turn in a claim for dents or
like a rock
scratch,
chip.
dents or scratches every few years, and get a repaint.
Oh wow, that's so
And
interesting. I
so
didn't know
we've
that.
had 12,000 kilometer cars that you would think would be pristine. Two owner, 12,000 kilometers. And you get it
3
in,
repaints.
and it's been totally repainted. And you're like, ugh,
It's so weird.
this is not going to work out.
That's so interesting. When we were in Japan, granted, we were there for only a few days and we were basically around Tokyo. But the main thing that stood out to me was there are no shit boxes.
Yeah.
There are cheap cars, but they're brand new, clean, very recently bought cheap cars. There's like a steel wheel, no power anything version of the Yaris or whatever for like
Right.
$7,000, but there's no 20-year-old beater cars. They don't exist.
I can only imagine that it has to do with the cost to own a car there in terms of parking, the
Yeah.
price of the roads. I think if you're going to spend the equivalent of several $100s a month just to park it and use the roads, then you probably have another few hundred for a car payment as well.
That's a good point. The payment itself could be the least expensive thing about
Exactly.
using the roads in Japan. And I don't actually know how that math works.
I don't either.
And you make it up with repaints.
I guess, yeah. And then when you sell when you dump the car in America 25 years later,
When you sell it to a car dealer in Costa Mesa with no miles on it, but it's been painted twice, then you just laugh and go to sushi.
My friend Paul
go to European
Zuckerman bought
collections
a
for
Japanese. What did he buy? A turbo, I think, that was Japanese. A 964 turbo was Japanese or some shit. Oh no, it was an RS. It was a Carrera RS from Japan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make fun of him at repaints now. Where should I start
Just
looking?
Have him meter it. That car should be all less than 5.
All right.
If he gets anything over a 5, he should dump it.
Oh, I gotta get a paint meter. I just want to drive him nuts. That's all I want to do is drive the guy nuts because he has so much money and all the best toys.
He's all the good cars.
Is this Paul Zuckerman?
Yeah, you know him.
I'm assuming his car's very good.
He only has the very good cars, it seems.
Well, he's very well connected at this point to people that would keep him on the straight.
And he's got the money.
Well, and plus, I mean, do you want to sell him anything that's not represented accurately? I mean,
No, they'll show up and beat
he's
the
a
shit out
lawyer.
of you.
It's like, hi, this is Paul Zuckerman. I want to buy a car from you. No, thanks. Another buyer will come. Thank you.
That's very funny. Those guys are coming in tomorrow. Actually, they're going to record an episode of Spike's show here. What else do you want to tell the viewers about the show? When and where can they find it?
Wednesdays, 7 o'clock locally, 10 o'clock
What's
Eastern.
locally? Pacific.
Pacific.
10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Cool. On Discovery Channel.
On Discovery Channel.
And social medias? Plug it.
I'm Todd Wertman on Instagram, Todd Wertman on Facebook.
I'm Nick Smith.
WERTMAN. It's all one word.
Yes.
And Nick Smith 66 on.
It's Nick.Smith.
Is it Nick.Smith?
You-
I don't
he
know.
said Todd said you were going to be shit at this.
I've got a 15-year-old child. He takes care of all of
Is
this.
your 15-year-old your social media manager?
He is. For God's sake, don't let him know he needs a paycheck for it. But yeah, he does.
Hey, kiddo. Most people pay folks for that. Anything on the super chat, Tim? Before we get out of here, anything of interest? A couple. Oh, how was the shop Seattle? Have you guys been up to Seattle much?
No.
Not in a while, actually.
Cool
I was just talking
scene
about
up there.
Yeah?
Really, yeah. Great people, great food, beautiful city. There's a place called The Shop that we discussed at last show. It's a collector car storage place,
Oh.
but they also have do-it-yourself tools and lifts if you want to work.
That would be
right.
cool.
Yeah,
And they have a full-service restaurant and bar.
Oh,
And the
okay.
restaurant and bar is open to the public. So you
There's
can
a few of
actually
those up
hang
there. There's
out.
another one in
Yeah.
Kirkland.
There might be another
Yeah.
one, but I stopped in and it was nice people and it was a really cool scene. And if I lived in Seattle, I would definitely be a member.
Nice.
Let's see, Michael Park. Thoughts on an E30 BMW for a first car, gentlemen?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Without
mean,
doubt.
it's a 30-year-old car.
Yeah.
So you are dealing with any and everything that can go wrong with
Yeah.
a 30-year-old car. On the other hand,
You'll learn
It's a
to
BMW. If
learn
it's
to wrench.
sorted, it's predictable. I drive old BMWs just to beat them up in LA and thrash them into the ground, and they're just great cars.
we race old BMWs, and we managed to get a 325 to survive a full 24-hour enduro at VIR.
Did you?
Couple
It
times.
did.
I drove one over a mountain that we bought for $1,900. We put BFG tires on it. Drove it from here to Vegas over an off-road mountain and back.
This is the same,
Fine.
by the way, the same car. So that car was bought
Red
and
Rock.
That was
Not over Red
It
Rock.
was.
different car.
It was the same car. Oh no, you
No, I
sold that one, and then we bought another one,
Yeah.
which we turned into an off-road vehicle, and I drove it up a mountain in Colorado.
Right.
Got almost over it, and then I punctured the fuel tank and had to get flat-towed off the mountain without fuel or power. We then turned that car into the race car that finished the race.
So if you don't buy the E30, buy a good flatbed truck, because
Yes.
apparently they're just as good to get over a Colorado
E30s
mountain.
they're tough. They're
are.
tough little
They're
cars.
Yeah.
I've been looking for a good 325 IX for a long time,
The
and they
iX
are
is the
just not
shit.
the iX. An iX 4-door.
They're
is,
hard
is
to
the
find.
best looking E30.
They're hard to find.
Yeah.
They're impossible to find.
They're
Did they make the iX in a wagon as well?
No,
Okay,
not in
just
the
saying.
U.S. I don't know about otherwise. 2-door and 4-door, automatic manual.
One of my favorite cars I've ever driven was a E30 coupe with an S54 from the E46 M3. Stock
Nice.
S54 just dropped right in, and that the E46 is a 6-speed and differential. The car was like 2,400 pounds and 330 horsepower, and it had the throttle by wire with functional sport button. It was fucking fast. It was so fast. It was beautiful. Great car. But even a 325 is lovely.
Yeah.
318 is a little slow. I think that's it, huh? Is that our show, guys? Anything else on Super Chat before we call it, Tim? No. All right. The show is called Sticker Shock. Todd and Nick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
There are other hosts on the show as well. There's 4 of you, right?
Addison Brown,
And
Randy
Randy
Carlson.
Addison and Randy, yes.
And then the host is Dennis Pitzenberger.
Dennis Pitzenberger. He said that name like 8 times in the 42-minute thing last night, and I could never I tried to repronounce it every time. I forgot it every time. Dennis Pitzenberger. It was a fun show.
It's a fun show. It's what I like about it is it's fully authentic. We did not get to go crawl over the cars for hours and hours and develop these opinions about them. We're not actors. We really just kind of had to discover the car kind of on camera, and that's what makes it a little bit more natural.
I like that. It's a TV show without fraudulent bullshit written into
Right.
it. And if we watched it last night, is it the same warehouse as the This Is America video was shot in? Good call, Zach. Yeah,
We're not
bonus
sure if it's
points.
still there. We're going to tear it down. It may not still
Yeah,
be
the
there.
old
Really?
Firestone Tire Factory in Southgate.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Site of the Donald Glover This Is America video. And
Exactly.
of course, Sticker Shock on Wednesday nights
Wednesday.
at
Wednesday nights
10/7
at 10.
on Discovery Channel. Thank you,
Cool.
Todd and Nick.
Cool.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is something to say it into. Hopefully, some kind of connection to the internet. Thanks, guys. Thank you, live audience. We will see you next time. Good day.
Cool.
Good show, guys.